In 1821, the Spanish granted Moses Austin a huge chunk of Texas. Texas was valuable. It was well suited for growing cotton. By 1830, there were 25,000 Americans in Texas and 4,000 Mexicans. The Texas rebelled and was led by John Fremont and Stephen Austin. In February 1836, a large part of the Mexican army marched into the Alamo and fought the Americans and won. About 180 Texans volunteered, including 8 Tejanos defended the town. Meanwhile, Travis sent messengers to other towns in Texas, pleading for reinforcements, and he vowed not to leave the Alamo. Finally, on 1836, the Texans won and formed the Republic of Texas. Little did they know they would eventually lead to a war with the U.S. and Mexico. This is the Mexican-American War in plain English by Gadeir, Michael, Sam, and Matt.
This is how the Mexican-American War started. It started by that Polk, our president, was amazed by the two huge areas, California and New Mexico. He wanted to buy them as soon as possible, and if he could, he will use force if needed. These areas were first colonized by Spain, but after that, Mexico wanted independence. Yeah! 1821. Polk hoped that it would be for sale. Polk sent a representative to Mexico to try to buy the territories, but as they said, they refused to even see the representative. Right there, that's mean right there. When Congress voted to annex Texas, relations between USA and Mexico became deadly. Mexico annexation of Texas was an act of war. Plus, Texas and Mexico could not decide on a border. Texas claimed Rio Grande as the border. Mexico wanted it to be Nueces River, but as usually, they never agreed. On April 25th, 1846, Mexican soldiers, they were very mad-looking and fired on U.S. troops who were patrolling along Rio Grande. 16 Americans were killed or wounded. 2 days after Polk's speech, Congress declared war with Mexico. This is just in, that the Mexican-American War has just started.
After a few months, General Stephen Kearny led an army from the west out to Kansas. His commands were to occupy New Mexico and then to continue west to California. As they were going, Americans took complete control of New Mexico without fighting or shooting. John C. Fremont settled the rebellion against Mexican rule of California. Americans also arrested General Mariano Guadalupe Vallejo, the Mexican commander of Northern California. U.S. troops were under General Zachary Taylor's battled their way from South Texas. 6,000 U.S. troops took the Mexican city of Monterrey. Yeah! The enemy stopped them. General Santa Anna had marched north to meet Taylor with an army of 20,000 Mexican troops. In February 1847, two forces met near a ranch called Buena Vista. After 2 days of hard fighting, Santa Anna reported that the two armies have both been cut to pieces. After a month later, U.S. forces led by General Winfield Scott landed at Veracruz in southern Mexico. For the future 6 months, his troops fought their way to Mexico City, Mexico's capital. Outside Mexico City, Americans met resistance at the castles of Guadalajara. About 1,000 Mexican soldiers and 100 young military cadets also fought to fight and defend their fortress. 6 from those cadets chose to fight dying rather than to be surrendered. To this day, people are still honored in Mexico as the Ninos heroes after the fight that Scott's army captured Mexico City on September 1847.